Hi friends, when I just came to Sweden, I was a little bit confused seeing all these people running or jogging during rain or snow or eating herring like a candy, especially during winter time. And yeah, this is was a big surprise even for Kanelbullens, why people have the dedicated day just to eat some buns. And yeah, after 3 years living in Sweden, guess what? Now I'm also cycling during the rain, even during December. It was very weird for me at the first time, but now I'm very used to it. And yeah, I like herring, I like knäckebröd, and the whole February is a month for eating semlas. Does it sound familiar to you? If so, you may start turning to Swedish. And yes, this is like my 18 reasons why you turn in Swedish, but don't make it very serious, it's just for fun. And yeah, let's start. So the first thing, you starting to be a master of Lagom, and you know what it means. And so for newcomers, Lagom is something when it's not too big, not too small, and just enough. And I think this is like very big and essential point of living in Sweden, that you see a lot of stuff that really Lagom. Like, it's usually very nice and solid houses, for instance, but they're not like poor or they're not too rich. It's just like Lagom. So you could not really understand how much people earn from this house, for instance. But there are a lot of exceptions for this rule as well. So it's not like for everyone, and I totally understand it. Then, when you used to live in Sweden, you're probably not afraid anymore of cold and darkness. For instance, in this, my fourth, I think, winter, I really wasn't that depressed that I was previously, because I was like, yeah, okay, now I am embracing the fact that this darkness and coldness, this is like for me being at home, because summer is very intense and like I'm out all the time and I'm always with my friends, or I'm going to do some activities outside or anything. And I think winter is a very nice time to just sit at home and do some knitting projects, watch cinemas, and so on. So I started liking winters. I still going to Spain for 2 weeks to see the sun, but it's much easier for me to spend the whole winter here in Sweden. When we're talking about Sweden and winter time, it usually goes together with candles, a lot of candles. And here in the shops you can find a lot of beautiful variants, like the curvy or colorful, I don't know, everything, or scented with some very nice smells. And I also really like it, and now in almost every room I have some candles there. And together with candles, what I usually see in Scandinavian countries, people having reflectors. And I think this is very important, because when I start cycling during winter time, it's very dark here, and when I'm commuting from work, I was like, yeah, you cannot see people if they don't wear reflectors. And this is a very essential part of winter, I think, especially if you walk in your dog, or if you, I don't know, just in not very lighted areas like in forest or something. It's very nice to have a reflector, and there are different types of reflectors here. The fifth sign is you bike everywhere, or if you're running, then you run everywhere. And it doesn't really matter for you if it's raining, if it's snowing, you just go out and do your job done. And yes, when you have a bicycle, you usually understand that you need to be aware of pedestrians, because pedestrians sometimes don't really look around themselves. And now I really have a habit of looking around to understand, or if this is like I can cross or not, because there are a lot of bicycle lanes here in Gothenburg. And yeah, sometimes like people just pop up on the road and that's it. And I think you need to be really aware of it. And I know when we have some big celebrations here in Gothenburg and a lot of tourists come in, and you're like, oh my god, I feel so mad when people on the bicycle lane. Then there is no talk about Sweden if you're not mentioning Fika. So Fika is very nice coffee break, and I really appreciate there is no rushing, there's no like hurry in this ritual. And I was like very impressed that in Sweden the country is known for coffee and their cult of coffee, yeah, but there are not a lot of coffee places to take coffee to go. And I'm from Russia, so we have like in St. Petersburg we had a lot of cafe in every corner almost, when you can get a coffee to go and then just like have a nice walk. But here I think it's a big culture of just sitting, slowing down with some bun, like Kanelbulle or something else, and then just sipping your coffee. And I know like in Russia we tend to be more rushing somewhere, like, oh, we need to go like to the park, we need to go to work and everything, and there's like not enough time for us usually. But I really appreciate how in Sweden I really calm down, and I now can have this dedicated moments for coffee, for a nice chat with my friend. So yeah, I really appreciate this. And I also think that you're becoming like more local when you used to different bulle dagen, so like kanelbulle or semla or anything else, and it's not surprising you anymore, because I think it was very unusual for me for the first 2 years here in Sweden. For instance, like, oh, the chocolate cake day, and you're like, wow, this is very interesting, that's funny. And now I really like this because, so as I said before, I think this is a very lovely moment to appreciate cake or bulle or something else, like some other sweets, and just have it in the day. And this is also the case when during these days, like cinnamon buns day, usually office manager buys some buns for colleagues, and this is very nice just to sit and have coffee or tea and eat the bulle. And as we're now on this side of food, then I would like to talk about knäckebröd. And yeah, I know for a lot of people it seems very dry and not interesting at all, like it's very boring bread. But then people start loving it or being okay with it, and I kind of know which ones I like now, because before it was like, yeah, it was overwhelming. If you ever see how many knäckebröd in their shops, you're like, okay, I'm not going to taste everything of this. But I think when you find something like during your lunches, for instance, in a lot of cafes you have the buffet with salads and knäckebröd and bread, like bread and this crispy bread, then you will understand more how it tastes. But I think it's very delicious with salty butter. And here in Sweden, people usually plan everything in advance. I know a lot of Swedish families that know which weeks, which days for vacation, where they're going, even if it's like in 6 months or even in a year. And for instance, they can have appointments and they will know about it in several months, or you cannot just like call your Swedish friend usually, because they have plans to do and you need to kind of give a note like in 2 weeks before. It's nice. I think it's very cool that people have this planning, and I also tend to do something, but I also tend to keep a place for some spontaneous moments and spontaneous meetings. But I already mentioned that people here usually plan in weeks, as this is what I cannot get used to, because yeah, I find it very useful, but still kinda I'm not really used to do it. Like, you can plan your vacations, for instance, or it will be week 10 and week 11, and I'm still confused with this. I still need to Google it or check on my phone calendar which week it is, and I know it's better for understanding and not like giving the dates itself, so it's easier to just to say, oh, it's week 20 when we going to have this or that, and yeah, not just like, oh, it will be Thursday, or like, I don't know, of 20 sort of whatever. Yeah, then you accept that midsummer is probably the most important day here in Sweden, and it's a big celebration. I think it's bigger than New Year, bigger than Christmas, and a lot of people gathering together. And I really like that we have so many opportunities to participate in this, because it's usually in some villages, in some areas, like not really far away from the city center, when you can go and you can see this maypole, you can see dances, you can participate in these dances. And I really like how during midsummer Swedish people very, very friendly, they smile a lot, and yeah, so it's this vibe is like very welcoming and friendly. And people who participate in midsummer and they know that they will participate in this event, they usually buy some flower-less, white or flowerish dresses, and yeah, and of course for this day it's a lot of alcohol and songs and dances. Then what was very interesting for me, it was how Swedish people like Eurovision and Melodifestivalen. So I kind of like, yeah, Eurovision is quite popular, but here I think it's very, very big event, and I was very surprised when my Swedish colleagues asked me in office, like, oh, what's your plan for Melodifestival? And I was like, I don't get it. Like, what plan should I have? And they explained how they do it, like gathering with friends, making some popcorn, buying beer, and just like watching it together. And I think this is very interesting. Like, I hadn't this experience. I'm very chill about Melodifestival or Eurovision, but I think it's very nice, once again, event to celebrate just a regular day and gather with your friends and to cherish this moment. Another sign of you being kind of Swedish is that you say no in different ways, very polite, even not very understandable that it's no. And I heard a lot of stories how people saying you like, oh, everything was so great, and then it was kind of a no, but very in gentle, subtle note, and very, very polite, because even like in Swedish language itself, I hear a lot of, or it's not like saying directly, it's weird. It's usually like, oh, it's a little bit weird, or like, yeah, it's quirky, or something similar. So I'm not used to it like a lot, but I'm getting there, and I think it's pretty interesting. It's very cultural thing as well. So let me comment how do you feel about this. Then let's go to Christmas part, and this is like the other sign is you have your time for Kalyanka or Donald Duck, for Christmas Eve, and it's very nice. It's very cute tradition, and yeah. Also, the big part of Christmas table is herring, and I think if you live in long enough in Sweden, you already know which type of herring is your favorite. And yeah, because I think the first years for me was trying a lot of different herrings, and this pickle herring is in some sauce. It could vary a lot, and now I'm kinda stick to whatever I like. It's usually apple, something apple-ish and Asian sauce. And then go back to summer. I think summer is a very important part of Swedish life here, and everyone really appreciate being in Sweden because it's very, very beautiful time. We have finally a nice weather and enough sun, and yeah, people just going crazy, biking, cycling, they go into forest, hiking and so on. So I think like everyone appreciates summer so much here, and this is very lovely. And yeah, I also tend to do this, and yeah, usually I'm going for summer. I was going for summer like to other countries, and now when I moved to Sweden I was like, okay, here is so good during summer, so I tend to travel during other time like autumn or spring or winter even, but not during summer because I want to spend all my days here. They're very, very lovely here. And yeah, if you're interested about corporate life in Sweden, I have a video dedicated to it. And thank you. Puss puss.